Hi, everybody. So, guess what we're talking about today? We are talking about the tax returns of Donald J. Trump. Okay, so I'm going to try to bring it down a little bit because this is a subject that makes me hot. And it's because I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why we are still asking him to produce his tax returns. The election is over. So, wait, let me start from the beginning. Okay, let me start from the beginning. So, it is a tradition since Richard Nixon that all presidential candidates release their tax returns for review. And every presidential candidate has done it since then. But the catch is this: every single one of those people who are presidential candidates had been in public service most of their lives. They had been elected officials for decades, most of them. Donald J. Trump has been a private citizen, and he only became a public servant and elected official on January 20th. Well, he got elected in November, but we're going to call it January 20th, 2017, that he became president of the United States and began to have to answer to the people of the United States of America. The issue is, before that, as a private citizen, why is he obligated to give us his tax returns? And again, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, as a private citizen, he ain't obligated to do that. Now, during the election, we as the voters said, we want to see your tax returns. You need to release your tax returns. Donald J. Trump said, they're under routine audit. As soon as the audit is done, I will release my tax returns. We allowed him to do that. The IRS said nothing's stopping him from releasing his tax returns. The routine audit does not preclude him from doing that. Tax officials said, nope, there's nothing on the books that says he can't release them. He chose not to release them. And we let him. And so the point at which we elected him anyway, knowing that he did not give us those tax returns, shame on us. We're the ones who dropped the ball on that one, not him. And so what incentive does he have now to release his tax returns? He has none. And so this is a subject we shouldn't be even revisiting until 2020 when he decides to get reelected. And when that happens, what we need to do is say, okay, well, you know what? You've been president for the last 4 years. Here's what we want. And this is what we really need to be asking for. We want to see your tax returns for the last 4 years. We want to see if you actually cheated on your taxes. We want to see what you were spending your money on, and we want to see if you profited from the presidency. That's what we should be doing. I mean, this is 2017, and so we need to start with his 2017 tax returns. So next year in April 2018, we need to say, let's look at 2017. We need to make him submit his tax returns to a congressional ethics committee, have them review it just to make sure there are no indiscretions in there. Because again, we're talking about this conflict of interest that he potentially has with his companies. And, you know, we've been over that as well. But all of this about his previous taxes, why? I mean, let's look at worst case scenario from the perspective of the IRS. So the IRS, when you get audited, they audit you and they go through line by line and they say, okay, this deduction is not valid. And what do? They make you pay the difference with penalties and fines. They don't send you to jail. So even if he had some deductions that may not have been, we're not going to call them illegal because they weren't illegal, may have been stepping over the line, all they're going to do is make him pay that back with penalties and fines. He's not going to jail. Not to mention, there's no possibility of him going to jail because the only way you go to jail is tax evasion. Tax cheating on your taxes, you just have to pay it back. But tax evasion, that's different. And there is no tax evasion because he was paying taxes over the course of the year and he filed his taxes. So this is a waste of time. You know, I've long said with actors and actresses, I never understood why when they get into dirty little situations, why they feel like they need to explain anything to the public. Why? They're private citizens, but public people. He was a private citizen, even though he was a public person, but he was a private citizen. He could say, no, I'm not telling you anything. I think it's presumptuous for anyone to ask someone to show them their tax returns if they're a private citizen. So I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a good plan. But when 2020 rolls around, that's going to be the time when we have to say as voters, no, you know what? You're going to show us those tax returns for the last 4 years, I don't think we need to go back to the tax returns when he was a private citizen. I think we need to pass on that. But a strong sticking point is these last 4 years that you've been president, I want to see what's been going on with your taxes. I want to see how you've been paying your taxes. I want to see if you've been profiting because, again, there's been a lot of speculation about his conflicts of interest. There's been speculation about Mar-A-Lago, which I've been talking about. There's been speculation about his kids' involvement in his administration and in the businesses of the family. And so that's where we're going to get our justice. That's where we're going to get our justice. And again, I'm not trying to defend President Donald Trump because, again, there is no defense for tax evasion. But that's not what this is. So, what do you think? Say what you got to say, because I feel like this is a dead issue. We dropped the ball when we didn't make him produce those tax returns before the election and elected him anyway. Again, this is the whole, well, let's see what happens. Well, nothing's happening. We're not getting the tax returns. And so all the protests that we're still seeing about release your tax returns, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. We need to shut all that down. All the people on Twitter and on the internet who are saying, where are his tax returns? Shut all that down. We don't need to do that either. We need to be much more strategic about this, which is, let's see his tax returns next year. And in 4 years, let's see his tax returns before we decide to re-elect him. So, let's tweet about it. SGTATARMSUSA. Comments. Leave me some comments below this. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think it's too presumptuous, or if you've got a good rationale for why he should release his tax returns as a private citizen. Put it in the comments. So, I will see you on Twitter. And with that, I will close this installation of the Sergeant at Arms. See you next time.